the 15th of May 2025. We'll take apologies for absence first, please.
Just the one apology, Leader, Councillor Robert Francis Davis.
Okay, thank you very much. No other apologies. And again, wish Councillor Francis Davis a full recovery following his operation. So hope he's making good progress. We'll move on to item 2, disclosures of personal or prejudicial interest. Are there any for today's agenda? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, item 8. I'm a member of the local authority government appointments panel. I've got dispensation to speak but not vote.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor King.
Thank you. Just item 8, personal interest only as a governor at Course Primary School.
Thank you. Any other declarations? If not, we'll move to the minutes of the previous minutes. They're on pages 1 to 4 of the agenda. Not had any requests for any amendments, but happy to take any this morning. If not, then happy to move them as a true record. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Can you all show if your approval of the minutes, please? Thank you very much. Those are agreed. Announcements, the Leader of Council. I don't have any formal announcements for this morning. So we'll move on to public question time. Are there any members of the public who wish to ask a question today? No. Okay. So we'll move then to councillor question time for the open part of the session. Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Leader. I want to ask a question about the exclusion of the public on item 15, referring to item 14 on the cabinet agenda, and also then obviously on item 17, which I will ask questions on in the exempt part of the agenda. I think it's only right that cabinet gives an explanation, or the officers give an explanation about the exclusion of the public on a very important issue, and that is the use of the Debenham store and the redevelopment and the FPR7. I understand fully the contractual issues. I understand other issues around this, but I do think the time has come that most of the projects that have been done over the last 10 years, we've had these clauses in that we do not discuss what the capital cost is prior to either it being finished or sometime after it's being finished. Whereas in latter day, in years gone by, that wasn't the case. We had a figure, we built a new school, we said how much we were going to spend on that school, and that's what we did. Now, I know there's COVID has been called into question. I know the Ukrainian war has been brought into question, and I also understand that the inflation has been brought into question as well. But there are other things that have happened in the past when we've built or done other construction jobs or done other conversions or what have you, where you had similar, not exactly the same criteria, but we did have similar criteria. So I just like an explanation why, again, we have to have this particular item in camera to give out the total cost of what we're going to do with Debenham store. Thank you, Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Holly. Look, I'm more than happy to try and furnish an explanation and welcome any officer additions they may wish to add. I think there are two parts to why there is a relevance to keeping some information within the private domain until we have assurance that we are able to put it in the public domain. The first one being that contractually with the tenants that are coming into the Debenham store, we are in legal negotiations with them at their request. Their brands and their entities are not able to be put into the public domain at this time. I'm sure there would be no councillor who would wish to jeopardise that or put our commercial opportunities at risk by souring a deal that we have worked hard to create. So again, you've got experience of this, Councillor Holly. I know you sometimes have to live with the fact that you cannot announce some of the things that you would like to, and you can imagine from the administration's point of view, we're very keen to let the public know what brands are going to be occupying the Debenham store as soon as possible. It is a frustration for us, but we acknowledge that that is part of the process we're on. The second part is the continued obligation we all have to get the best value for the taxpayer. You know what, that's the only part I would take issue with, is I don't think that has changed from the time of your administration to this administration. You would have also brought reports to Cabinet, which would have had information on yellow pages or red papers, redacted information that was not in the public domain, and that was quite legitimate because you were doing what you could to protect the taxpayer's interest, to make sure that you didn't go out to the market saying, I have this amount of money to spend, give me something for this amount of money. What we do always is go to the market and say we require somebody to deliver this, and we don't put the budget in the public domain, because otherwise you end up with bids that come back at the level they think you can provide cash for. So it's about making sure we are streetwise in terms of how we approach the market. We protect the taxpayer's interests as best we can. And that is why we are in the position that we're in terms of having to take an open part of a report and a closed part. What I can say, though, is that we are all, I think, on the same page, which is that we need to get to the point whereby at the soonest possible time, those costs, once they are confirmed and locked in, that is then public. And I think that is the point at which, when we know that we've got a confirmed cost for something, there is no further risk to the taxpayer, that then we can make sure that that is in the public domain so people are aware of the cost of a development. I think that is a legitimate position to take. I think it's a sensible commercial position to take, because, as I said, we've got a very large capital programme. We want to make sure we get the best value we can for the taxpayer on every element of that. So hopefully that's a reasonable explanation.
I can understand exactly what you're saying. I think where you've got a third party involved, which you have got in Debenhams, there are issues that if somebody is going to occupy, then you need to have confidential issues about not just the brand, but also about any commercial activity or any contractual issues that it would have. But an example I'll give you, that when we reopened Swansea Leisure Centre, we set a figure of 25 million. And I can remember being condemned prior to doing that by the opposition at the time, by saying, well, how much is it going to cost? So we actually said how much it was going to cost. Admittedly, it overrun by £500,000 or so. And the same happened with the Bowls Hall in Landau. We had to say how much that was going to be. The only one I will take, and I think you were right in saying that we did have to have some commercial activity, was the bus station. And when that was actually negotiated, because it was attached to Debenhams at the time, and it still is attached to Debenhams, there was an issue about the capital, the travel, the money we had from the Welsh Government to pay for it. There was additional money, and I would accept. But I do understand what you're saying, and I accept what you're saying about timing. And I think there is an opportunity at some stage that we need to have that discussion, albeit in some other forum, about how we do this. Because I'm acutely aware, and I know you are acutely aware, and I should imagine the Cabinet are, that blindly going forward with projects and at some stage in the future telling the public what it costs is not a good way to go forward. So I accept what you're saying, and I'll look on. I will wait and ask some questions in the private session, but I do accept what you're saying, and because of the third party involvement, I do understand why this one is going to be in private.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Holly. If there are no further councillor questions, then we will move on to first item, which is the policy on the principles to promote learning. Let me just get to my right page here. And welcome Councillor Dirk, first of all, to introduce this report on behalf of the Education and Skills Service Transformation Committee, and then come to Councillor Smith for comment. Councillor Dirk.
Thank you very much, Chair. It gives me great pleasure to bring this report to Cabinet this morning. It is the second report which was a result of the Service Transformation Committee for Education and Skills in the municipal year, and I think it's equally as powerful in its aims and its aspirations to shape the educational offer for all Swansea schools. It's about building excellence. This is about giving a fresh emphasis to how we embed these principles to promote learning and work with schools to transform, to add value to the learning experience. I did highlight the report, certain things I wanted to mention, but I would have ended up reading the whole thing out to you because there's so much excellence in these principles, I think it's fair to say. I would want to thank all officers involved with putting this together in education, of course, Di Thomas in particular as the principal officer involved, Helen Morgan Rees, Democratic Services for their support in the legal officers as well, and of course to Cabinet Member Councillor Robert Smith, and to Elaine Sharplin from the University of Wales Trinity St David as an educational expert who came in and provided some brilliant insights about where we are in this particular context. So I think there's a two-prong attack, if you like, from the Service Transformation Committee this year. Two excellent reports. This is the second one. And on that note, I commend it to Cabinet and pass on to Councillor Robert Smith. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Dirk. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Leader. And can I thank Councillor Dirk for the work that he's done as chair of the STC, and all members of that committee for their input, and the officers and also the practitioners who've been part of developing this this policy. This is an important, we are at an important stage in the implementation of curriculum for Wales. As members will be aware, we've come to the end of the rigid structure of the national curriculum with clearly defined expectations, and we're in a situation now where a great deal of responsibility is delegated to individual schools, either individually or collectively. And I think what we have here is a policy that sets out expectations developed in conjunction with our schools, and it's a policy that's not going to be rigid. It is something that's going to be work in progress, and I think that's clear in the report. This is an ongoing process that will change in response to learner needs and in response to society's needs. So it does dovetail well, I feel, with the work that's also going on in Welsh Government. It gives us in Swansea a clear way forward. And as Councillor Dirk has said, it's something that I would certainly endorse and recommend to Cabinet. So I'm happy to endorse this report, Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Smith. I assume that's moving it as well.
Yes.
Great, thank you. I absolutely associate myself with your comments there, and also thank Councillor Dirk and the committee for the work they've done. As you say, it's not just an excellent policy, but it's a good demonstration as well of the processes that have now been set up for service transformation committees, where they bring forward updated policies that can then be adopted by Cabinet and feed into the workings of Council. And that's something created by cross-party working group, again, drawing on all experience from all parts of Council. So welcome this report. So the report has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions for Councillor Dirk or Councillor Smith on this one? If not, can I ask you all then to show if you're in favour of the report, please? Thank you very much. That is agreed. Thank you, Councillor Dirk. We'll move then to item 8, which is local authority governor appointments. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Happy to move the report and thank the individuals that are named of coming forward as for the role of governor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. Very happy to formally second. Are there any comments or questions to Councillor Smith on this one? If not, again, could I ask you to show if you're in favour of the report, please? Thank you very much. That is agreed. Moving on to agenda item 9, which is the Successful and Sustainable Swansea Corporate Transformation Plan Annual Report 24-25. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. This report presents the second annual report on Swansea Council's Corporate Transformation Plan 2023 to 2028, and it provides an overview of the progress that's been made during 24-25 across all 13 strategic transformation programmes. They include adult and children's services, housing, education, digital transformation, workforce development and sustainability. And these programmes are aligned to our corporate plan and medium-term financial plan and aim to deliver long-term service improvement and financial resilience. So during 2024, there was a lot of progress made. I'm intending to comment on the programme streams which sit within my portfolio, but happily invite Cabinet members to comment on their work streams as well. But just to highlight, in terms of the plan itself, during 24-25, governance was streamlined through a single corporate transformation board, supported by programme boards, and the interdependency matrix, which has helped us manage shared risks and resources. And also to give thanks to the work of the Service Transformation Committees, which has played a key role in shaping our transformation, with some examples listed at item 12. Item 13 sets out our stakeholder participation. Item 16 lists some of the risks and issues assessment. And in terms of the financial implications, it's important to note there are no additional financial implications to the Council arising from the recommendations in this report. However, the individual programmes are already incorporated into our MTFP, and so that is captured there. So to avoid duplication, we're not talking about that in this report. So if I could turn to the plan itself and just highlight some of the key milestones achieved in the More Homes programme. So we've seen the completion of the Spark Centre successfully convert into 4 units there. An acquisition programme, buying back the former council right to buy properties, 36 properties coming back into our stock during 24-25. Planning permission for Brokesby Road's first scheme, tender awarded to Pobl for 2 HRA sites in Penderry Ward, the commencement of Brondig, which is well underway now and on track for completion in January 2026. Agreements made with Persimmon Homes and Pobl for our very first 106 acquisitions, which will include 70 low-cost shared ownership schemes, so particularly proud of that. And the handover of our sorry, I've just listed that. Garden Village development is well underway and progressing well, and we've appointed an employer's agent for Gossinham Business Park. And so we've also got, very importantly, from my perspective, the appointment of Powell Dobson Architects to further develop Tudno and Emrys in Penderry, which is long overdue. In terms of the homelessness programme, the key milestones, we still continue our Always a Bed pledge, which I know, Leader, is close to your heart. We introduced emergency measures to make sure that we redesignation of our OAP bed sits in terms of opening that up to all different age groups to maximise the use of that accommodation. We've got more temporary supported accommodation, and Llysglas is expected to open in September this year to ease the pressures on our bed and breakfast. So that will be very welcomed as well. And finally, from me, just to mention the Net Zero and Fleet programme, just a few milestones there to highlight. Pleasing to see a reduction of Scope 1 and 2 emissions. That's our carbon emissions in 24-25. We've seen the procurement of further refit programme work in terms of putting renewables and energy saving measures on our public buildings. The installation of more electric vehicle charging points. And to steal Councillor Andrew Stevens' thunder slightly, the continuation of the street lighting installation programme as well. So very happy to move the report, and it would be really great if Cabinet members wish to comment on their particular programmes within their portfolios. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis, for that, and very happy to second the report this morning. Lots, as you say, lots of really good progress contained within the report. I'll invite our Cabinet members now to contribute. Councillor Gibbard.
Thank you, Cabinet Member. Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Lewis, for moving the report. And just to pick out some points from Social Services Directorate, our transformation programme is all about moving towards our target operating models in both adult and child and family services. In adult services, we're continuing to be driven by our priorities of prevention and early help, of promoting independence, and prioritising resources. To this end, the assessment and care management teams have been restructured and hopefully providing a much smoother transition from our front door, and also developing much better support and signposting for early help and prevention options, avoiding the need for more managed care. Our internal home care service is devoting a much bigger proportion of its resource to the important work of reablement, both from the community and in terms of hospital discharge. Our dementia-focused residential reablement service at T Westfield in Wynalaeth has continued to grow and delivers some really excellent outcomes. We've commenced first steps on our remodelling of day services to better provide a comprehensive range of opportunities, and this is set for further co-production now with service users, carers, staff, local members and other stakeholders. In our Child and Family Services programme, we've got similar aims around promoting prevention, early intervention and enablement. And we're really trying to ensure that what matters to children and young people is really central to everything we do. So far, we've developed further residential provision with emergency beds in Rossilly, and work is ongoing in Penclouth on a residential space there for respite for children and families with disabled children. We've brought our homelessness prevention service back in-house and also implemented a new supported accommodation pathway for our care experience and homeless young people to have a much better offer and choice, and that's working well so far. Our fostering service and residential home at Tynant both received really excellent inspection reports this year. We're continuing to recruit more in-house foster carers, which is really important work as Eliminate Profit, the Welsh Government agenda, comes in. And finally, just to mention our academy programme, where we support and develop and recruit our newly qualified social workers, has been held up as really good practice across the board in Wales this year. So some really great work going on in both child and family and adult services, and there's some excellent outcomes there listed in terms of statistics.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Gibbard. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and I'd echo the thanks for the work that's going on, and think in the two areas here under the education portfolio, transforming ALN, we are looking at, and it will be coming to something on the agenda later on, but already there's been work done to bolster the STFs, to support learners who are neurodiverse awaiting diagnosis, to extend the provision for children with additional learning needs, learners with additional learning needs, the extension of provision for Welsh medium children with additional learning needs, and also the key feature of being able to meet more of our children's needs locally. And I think that is something, they're all things that we can be proud of. They're much needed. And I think there is clear progress there. Likewise with Right Schools, Right Places. Again, I've already mentioned the STF review, the work to develop a new special school, the work to enable schools to respond to universal free school meals, and also the wide range of projects that are being delivered as part of our capital projects of sustainable communities for learning. All of this is progress that we can point to, and I'm sure will lead to further success in future. What it is modernising our estate and making sure that our learners have the facilities that are second to none to enable them to fulfil their potential. So I'm very happy with what's been outlined in this report, Leader, and support what's been said already.
Thank you, colleagues. Councillor Gwilym.
Thank you, Leader. Just to expand a little bit on what my colleague Councillor Gibbard mentioned, is obviously the shift towards our target operating model and early help and prevention. We have actually employed a new principal officer in adult services, albeit she doesn't start until the end of June, but she'll be able to oversee that restructure, which is obviously the right thing to do for our population. And whilst we acknowledge that there will be a financial benefit to moving towards that approach, it is actually the right thing to do, and it's promoting independence. so that's really positive. And then to move on to transforming and enabling communities. Obviously, the focus is on building resilient communities, and we know that we can't do that alone. So it's very much about a partnership approach, working with not only our own council departments, but third sector community groups and so on. And that is the more efficient way to do things. We're not going to be duplicating, we're going to be sharing resources, which can only be a positive thing for us. And not to touch on what my colleague, Councillor Anthony, has been involved in, but the volunteer strategy as well. We've got a lot of volunteers who do it informally, and it's about formalising that relationship with them as well, because they're out there doing amazing work in our communities, and we need to do the best to support them as well. So yeah, there's lots of really positive work going on, and thanks to all the teams that are involved in that.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Anthony.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. Not to repeat what Councillor Gwilym and Gibbard have just been saying and everything, but I just would like to thank everybody, because there's a huge amount of work goes on, and working in the community and working in a co-productive way and everything like that is, you know, is quite new for lots of officers. But it's definitely far more rewarding, and we get far more from it. Everything takes longer, but we could not do it in isolation. You know, we have a compact agreement with the third sector, and it's a very successful agreement, and we work very closely out there, so nobody's duplicating, like Councillor Gwilym said. You know, but I would just like to sort of touch on the community cohesion side. Things out there, it's often the sort of hidden part, really, because it's not something that always comes to the front, but the excellent work that is on out in the community at the moment, with, you know, there's lots of tensions up there. There's lots of tensions. The media play into things, upset, but the amount of small little projects that seem small, but working with the voluntary sector and our officers, we are really making a difference to people's lives out there. So I just wanted to thank everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Anthony. Absolutely, there's a huge effort going on across not just what the council does, but through its partners and voluntary sector individuals as well. So thank you again for the report. It's been moved and seconded. The single recommendation there is on page 33, that we approve the report. So could I ask you all to show if you're in favour, please? Thank you very much. That is agreed. We'll move then to item 10, which is the commitment of capital funding for the contractor appointment for the design and development of a new build special school. Councillor Smith.
Yes, me again, and it does give me genuine pleasure to move this report and also to thank the officers that are named in the report and all of those who've been involved in bringing this forward this morning. This takes us to the next stage of the delivery of a new special school for Swansea. Members will be aware of previous discussions. We have two excellent schools that have come together and will form the basis of the new school. This is about enabling our special school to access the best facilities possible and taking provision to a new level, I feel, that will be fit for the 21st century and will enable some of the most vulnerable learners we have to have the provision that meets their needs and enables them to succeed within Swansea. We will be able to make a lot more provision for these learners in the city and county of Swansea again, which is something which I know Cabinet has been committed to for a long time. So this enables us, takes us to the next stages, the REBA stages. It is about the planning and sustainable drainage approval, appointing a contractor to take us there and enabling the crucial planning stages to be gone through. And I look forward to seeing this realised so that we are able to make progress and take it to the next stage after this, Leader. As I said, it's a new chapter in the provision we're able to make, and I'm proud that we have committed, we are committing as an authority to this project.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Smith. Absolutely agree. I don't think the new facility can come fast enough. As you say, it will eventually deliver a state-of-the-art facility and increase the amount of capacity for our most vulnerable learners. And I'm grateful for Cabinet's continued commitment to delivering the very best for our learners in Swansea. So very happy to second. Open it up if anybody has any comments or questions for Councillor Smith on this one. If not, could I ask you all to show if you're in agreement, please? Thank you very much. We'll move on then to agenda item 11, which I would have taken today with Councillor Francis Davies, but as we noted earlier, he's currently unwell. This is a very positive report and builds on the previous investments that Cabinet have agreed. You have a number of recommendations on page 105, which detail some of the additional approvals that we're seeking to put in place, which relate to those trailed in the budget when we met earlier this year. In the report, you have contained in section 1, 2 and 3, the various breakdowns there of the investments, which are linked to the rollout of the continued options for community investment funds, where members can bring forward larger priorities for their community funded on a 30/70 basis. Our commitments to deliver changing rooms fit for all who want to take up sports in our city. Our facilities were often ones that were created back in the mid 20th century, and they were largely focused on male sport. So it's important that we put the investments in so our facilities can be used by all. On top of that, there is obviously the commitment to build a network of skate parks and small wheel facilities. And again, our commitment shows through here in terms of delivery of that initiative. So several £1 million being committed, which is detailed within those sections of the report. Really positive for our communities. Will allow councillors again this year to bring forward schemes that they want to see delivered in their wards. And again, representing the largest single investment into our communities via our councillors that we've ever seen. It wasn't so long ago the councillors had a mere £1,000 a year to meet all of their community demands. This gives councillors access to millions of pounds to deliver on what their communities want as priorities. So again, very happy to move this report. Could I ask for a seconder, please?
Thank you, Leader. Very happy to second this report, and it's really great to see this investment in our community facilities benefiting. I know that young women's football has become very, very popular, and so I'm sure they'd be delighted to have these facilities across the communities.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you. Just to add to what's already been said, I'm happy to support the proposals. The funding, I know it's not specific, you did reference it, Leader. The funding previously allocated to our skate park investment has been extremely well received. And that programme is progressing very well. All credit to yourself and Councillor Francis Davies and his team for the excellent engagement and direction that they've shown throughout. And just to quote Councillor Francis Davies on this, we're certainly making excellent progress on becoming the skateboarding capital of Wales, I believe is what he said. So the additional capital allocations proposed in the report for the Community Investment Fund and also the Changing Rooms programme would be a real boost for our communities, whether that's through better access to sport, as Councillor Lewis mentioned and yourself, or making the community inspired to come up with various community initiatives, a number of which we've seen. I think this does show strong commitment by this administration to improve all our areas across Swansea. As you said, the community budget has ballooned to £15,000 per year per councillor, but this allows us to do a lot more. we've seen benefits of locally targeted investment through the community budget, and I've said, as I've said in the past in reports, it puts funds under direct community control. But this capital programme allows us to make that go even further, enabling bigger projects with lasting benefits. So I fully support the recommendations, and I look forward to seeing what projects come forward. And I just want to put records on record my thanks to yourself, Councillor Francis Davies, and his team for all the work done to date.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stevens, and yes, and again, it'd be remiss of me not to recognise the efforts you made as well with Councillor Francis Davies to deliver those 60+ play areas across our community, which were early phase community interventions and investments, hugely well received by our communities. But as you say, it's a different way of thinking. It's saying, look, we are going to make sure that the public decide what it is that the money is spent on in their communities. They come up with the priorities. They take it to their councillor, we approve the schemes, and they are then delivered. And I think that's the right way to do it. That's what democracy is all about. So thank you very much for that, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Gwilliam.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I just wanted to say I really welcome the improved changing room facilities, especially for girls. You know, we've seen huge success in growing girls football. And at the weekend, actually, I did watch the under-14 schoolgirls in the English Schools Football Association final for the 3rd year in a row. They've reached the final, which is a massive achievement across, you know, Wales and England. So it's really important that we do the right thing by those girls and provide them with the facilities that they need. And again, I do welcome the Community Investment Fund, because you know, we know within our communities, we listen to our residents, so we are able then to direct that work appropriately, which I think is only a positive. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Gwilliam. Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to comment on this one? If not, recommendations are there on pages 105 to 106. Are you all happy to support? Thank you very much. That is carried. We move then to item 12, which is the South West Wales Regional Transport Delivery Plan contained within the South West Wales Regional Transport Delivery Plan. We got very snappy titles again today. This report, which has, as its name suggests, a regional transport plan emphasis, has the recommendations contained there on page 1116. This is about working together via the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee to produce a regional transport plan. That is something that we are required to do by Welsh Government. You can only properly deliver a proper transport system if you do it on a regional basis, because if you do it on a local basis alone, you then don't get the benefits of the scale of having connected and consistent transport. Obviously, this plan is the basis of how we would deliver schemes across the region in due course. Those will be probably the more interesting part of this to the public. Contained within that will be investments in things like active travel, investments in new roads, investments in new facilities, as well as obviously deliver of the big schemes like the South West Wales Metro. Now, again, we remain hugely committed to that, as do the Welsh Government. We want to see our Metro next out of the blocks in terms of delivery of new stations around our communities, rail network with regular rail services, which are then connected to the regular bus services. And of course, we await the Welsh Government's bus bill later this year, which will place new arrangements put in place new arrangements whereby local authorities will have far greater control over the services that are operated in their area, and will have the opportunity also to step in and run those services. So again, if we do want to get to a position where we have affordable, reliable public transport that is a real option for people and runs to the hearts of their communities and doesn't leave communities unserviced for large parts of the time, then this plan is really, really important in terms of getting us to that position and helping us take the advantage of things like the bus bill and the metro in due course. So very, very happy to support this report. I don't know whether Councillor Stevens wishes to add anything, but I'll formally move and over to Councillor Stevens to second.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'm happy to echo the comments you made on, and certainly agree. So the regional strategy sets out the priorities for the future transport investment, helps guide the transformation on how we'll travel. For Swansea, includes proposals to improve key routes in and out of the city, expand walking and cycling networks, strengthen links to major destinations, including schools, colleges, employment areas, and our world-class bay around on the seafront. So, as you alluded to, a more efficient, reliable, and importantly affordable public transport system stands to bring huge benefits. It helps reduce congestion, supports people who don't drive, improves air quality, and helps cut carbon emissions. It also boosts the local economy by improving access to work, education, and services. Following the public consultation that was run earlier this year as a region, the message was clear. People want better public transport, safer walking and cycling options, and more reliable connections for work, education, and leisure. So, supporting this strategy puts us in a strong position to secure future Welsh Government funding, allowing us to deliver, as you alluded to, Leader, a more integrated, accessible and sustainable transport network for Swansea and the wider region. I'd just like to put on record my thanks, Leader, for all of our officers in our traffic and transport teams. I know a huge amount of work has gone into this against some very, very tight deadlines, and they've thrown everything at it. So I'm happy to second the report.
Thank you, Stephen. I absolutely agree with your comments. I think the officers have done a great job. This is a mammoth task in terms of bringing all of this together, but the benefits, if we get it right, are going to be huge for the communities around not just Swansea but South Wales. Opening up any further comments or questions on this report? If not, the recommendations are there on page on page 118. 116. So could I ask you to show if you're all in agreement, please? Thank you very much. On then to item 13, which is Regulation of Investory Powers Policy 2025. Councillor Hopkins, please.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. This report sets out the regulation use of investigatory powers on the Act 2000, known as RIPA. The policy is enclosed on Appendix A. Previously, the Council has received very positive inspection from the Home Office, and also must say on the use of the current policy. Currently, there are no risks identified within the policy, and what I would say, since from the last year, from 1st of April 2024 to the 31st of March, we haven't had to use this policy at all. There are three recommendations set out on page 149. I'm more than happy to move the report, but also put my thanks to Deb Smith for putting this very technical report together to make sure we comply with the Act. So I'm happy to move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hopkins. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. I'm very happy to second, and not to repeat Councillor Hopkins' comments, but to add my thanks to the Chief Legal Officer, Deb Smith, as well, for all of her work on this, and the Monitoring Officer. Just to add briefly, just to highlight, the Council can only authorise the use of covert methods in very limited circumstances. The Council cannot authorise intrusive surveillance. They can only authorise directed surveillance where this is necessary and proportionate for the purpose of preventing or detecting serious criminal conduct. And an authorisation cannot take effect until a Justice of the Peace or a district judge has made an order approving it. So, as Councillor Hopkins said, the RIPA policy is at Appendix A, and really welcome this report. Very happy to second.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Lewis. Again, agree with the comments both you and Councillor Hopkins have made, and my thanks also to Chief Legal Officer for the work on this one. Just to say as well, just to highlight the fact that there are no changes in this policy from its previous iteration. So again, it's a policy that we do need to consider, but again, just to emphasise, there are no changes to the previous draft. So with that, could I ask you all to show if you're in favour of the recommendations to be moved and seconded on page 149? Thank you very much. That is agreed. Okay, we'll move then to agenda item 14, which is the former Debenhams store redevelopment FPR 7. Just to say on this item, we've had obviously a brief exchange as part of councillor questions. But we set out a strategy at the start of our, I think, 2017 term around making sure that we built a better Swansea for everyone. And again, there are many facets to that. Obviously, at that stage, we did not know that we were facing a pandemic and a cost of living crisis and all the other things that go with it. And of course, those things did irreparable damage to the high streets across the UK. And it's important that people always remember that Swansea does not live in a bubble. It is not immune to what happens elsewhere. And unfortunately, one of the casualties of the high street from that time has been, of course, the Debenhams brand, which no longer operates. Like many towns and cities across the UK, we lost our Debenhams store. We had taken significant efforts to try and keep that store trading because it was a good trader for Debenhams within its overall estate. But unfortunately, when the brand went, we then took steps. I'm grateful for Cabinet taking steps to make sure that we looked for a security on that premises and for us to do as much as we could to see that site active again. So the first stage was obviously to secure the store, and we did that some time ago. And that was important because the council is the owner of, or part owner of, the Quadrant. And again, the Quadrant is a hugely important part of the city's retail offering. So strategically, it was important that we had control of that site. Since then, our officers and agents have been working extremely hard to find a way of repurposing that store. And very, very pleased, as was alluded to earlier, that we've been able to secure 3 new tenants into the Debenhams store. As for the reasons I outlined earlier, we're unable to give those names at this stage, but that is something we are very keen to do at the earliest opportunity to make sure that members of the public and those who would like to come and visit and take advantage of our wonderful city centre know the new brands that are coming in. The report itself lays out the fact that there are several stages in part 7 to this. So there is the strip out of the unit. So that is allowing us to basically upgrade the structure of the building to make sure that all of the stuff that was left behind by Debenhams is taken care of. Those works need to be done so that those tenants are then ready to move in at the earliest opportunity. So the second phase would then be the fit out to the tenants' requirements, and that would make the stores ready for opening. As I said, this is hugely important in terms of the impact it would have on the city centre. The loss of Debenhams was significant. Bringing, hopefully, these retailers and operators back in will give us the opportunity to boost the city centre. It is really important to the Quadrant and the whole city centre as a whole. Just to say as well that obviously, as we do with all of these schemes, there is not just one way of delivering all of these things. There are always options, and that is something we will continue to look at as we go through this process. And our commitment will be to always try and make sure that we take the route that is the best for the taxpayer of Swansea. And that is something, given that we aren't able to disclose the financials today, due to the commercial reasons that we talked about earlier, just that reassurance that through the options that are contained within the process that we will follow, we will always take the option that is best for the taxpayer of Swansea, so that we deliver not only really good options for the city centre in terms of retail, leisure and housing and everything else, but we do so at the best cost to the taxpayer. So with that, very happy to move this report, and again a major step forward in repurposing our city centre. So thank you, colleagues. I'll look for a seconder, please.
Thank you, Leader. Very happy to second this report.
Okay, this report is for information only. So could I ask you all to note this report, please? Okay, thank you very much. We now move on to the next item, which is exclusion of the public. You have the rationale laid out there by the Chief Legal Officer, Chief Legal Officer. Are you all happy to agree? Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll pause for a second in order to go into private session. Thank you.